Well, good evening and welcome, and I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening on the 3rd of the 4th, 2025. I want to thank those who are joining me on Instagram, those who are joining me on TikTok, those who are joining me on YouTube, and those who are joining me on Facebook. Well, it's another Thursday evening for In Review, and of course, um, what can I say? There's so many things happening in the world. You must have been bored of me saying this. There's so many things happening in the world, but there's so many things happening in the world. And of course, I keep saying all the while, the three key main things which are always happening in the world is the Oval Office, Ukraine, Gaza, and of course, we're back again to the Oval Office because of the tariff and because of Liberation Day for Trump, which of course is creating a lot of havoc around the world. Uh, I was listening to Keir Starmer, and Keir Starmer said the American president does what he believes is best for the American people, and we in the UK, as the Prime Minister of the UK, I'll do what is in the best interest of the British people. Listening to Cory Booker, one of the senators in the States, and he said, it's time to give good trouble. I'm going to see if I can maybe find a video of that to play. Time to give good trouble. And also, there's some very interesting thing which is happening in Jamaica, if you might not have known. But of course, Jamaica is poised for an election. And the election is due sometime in September. But there's been some sort of what should I say, spokes in the wheel, whereby the Minister of Justice is actually saying something to the extent that it may not be and may have to seek for some extension. And people are creating havoc there. But ladies and gentlemen, before I go any further, I will just bring in my guest, Mr. Garry, after this quick notice. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, man. Keep getting stuck, man. I guess the powerful man. I keep saying it's gonna start and then it just gets stuck. So what can I say? Listen, welcome. Another evening.
Well,
Welcome
it's
to
great.
everyone.
Yeah, well, it's great to be a part of the Sylbourne Sydial. A couple of weeks back, I wasn't on it for I think seven for it felt more like 7 years, but it was only 7 days.
Well, 7 days says the number of perfection. You know what I'm saying? Seven is the number of perfection,
Yeah.
in a sense. But I was thinking tonight. And I said, because I got some schedules and some things to do, and I was saying, man, should I come on or not? Of course, I always say the show must go on. But when I look and see like what is happening around the world now, and we keep saying all the while, ah, Middle East, Trump, Gaza, and Ukraine, but something mammoth which has taken place regarding this whole tariff. And I would touch on it briefly last week, but this whole Liberation Day for tariff. Well, what's your take on it? And ladies and gentlemen, those on TikTok, thank you so much, Bent E, for those likes, and for Facebook. Let me hear what your thoughts are in regards to this. I'm going to play a couple of videos if it all works out, and especially on Cory Booker and even the Canadian Prime Minister is saying this can't happen. So it's like America is ruffling the bed with a lot of its lies. What's your take on this guy? What's your take on this, ladies and gentlemen?
On the tariffs, well,
Yeah, yeah,
we'll just
yeah.
have to see how it works out, Sil, because tariffs, in one sense, I think there has to be some positive things about tariffs. There must be some positive, but at the same time, just as much as there are positives, there are also negative. And the world is reacting. Governments around the world are reacting to the tariffs in which um, President Trump has put forward. I
Are, are,
suspect
are you saying? Hmm, go on, go on.
I,
Keep
sus-
talking,
I
Gary. My
suspect
apologies.
because I suspect because they've had free carte blanche. Is that the right term there, still? Carte blanche. They've had
Hmm.
free reign in recent years of importing, exporting. Obviously, he feels that Americans and America has been taken for granted, and probably so. I'm not saying that I'm not speaking for or against. I'm just saying that probably America has been taken for granted, and America has been giving away free money and
Yeah.
giving away, all that they have. Because that's why so many people want to go to America, because it's the land of the free and home of the brave. And if you
And
have ambition, like many of the Caribbean, we know many of Jamaicans, we know many who have gone to America and have made it rich, far richer there than if they had stayed home because they had ambition. So
yeah.
probably all of that is there. But I think at the same time, it's how Trump is going about it. He doesn't care. He's just saying tariffs here, 25% for the most, and 10% for some. The United Kingdom and the blessed island of Jamaica are amongst those, I would say, of the elite that gets the 10%. But there are some who are getting the 25. And I'm sure, if I'm not mistaken, there are probably one or two other countries who have gotten up to the 30%. I'm quite sure. I'm sure I have heard that. But yeah, it's probably the way how he's going about it, Sylbourne.
And they said that Jamaica is also some 10% as well.
Right.
In,
Jamaica is 10.
in regards to it, it is a very interesting day. It's a very interesting day, and I'm trying to see if I can find something here. And I share it if it can be played. U.S. stock market plunge after Trump tariff announcement as Canada retaliates. You know, the BBC said I don't pay my TV license. I pay my TV license. You know.
But it's I did read at the same time. I did read that that even though the stock market, the Dow Jones index, and all of that has gone down, but gold has gained. So it looks like people are investing in gold, because gold never really doesn't really lose its value, does it?
So you think it's a gamble that Trump is doing? He sees what he's doing.
Well, Trump has something in mind. I don't think he's doing this just because he feels that he needs to do it. Remember, whether Trump is whether he is a true businessman, whether he is scrupulous, or whatever it is, whether it be negative or positive, that individuals have to say of Trump. Trump is thinking in the world of business. Do you understand?
Yes.
He's thinking as a businessman. To me, it doesn't matter what anybody has to say, whether they're for him or against him in that. I think we have to understand the man that the world is having to deal with. Yes?
Yeah.
Whether, again, he's professional or not. Whether he he's straight or not.
Yeah.
He's thinking as a businessman. And he's not doing it because he knows that if he fails in this, his business, he says he's a millionaire, he says he's a billionaire. So he knows that if America fails, he will fail as a businessman.
Somebody just said a while ago that it's economics 101. When the economy becomes uncertain, commodities go up, people pull their money out of the markets and into gold and silver. And it goes further that some commodity sale and prices. Yeah.
So yes, some guy in Toronto, I would agree with him.
Yes.
You know, and Trump to some extent is hedging his bets. I don't think he's doing whatever Trump is doing, and I don't I don't know. I haven't done a study on him. I haven't read any biography or autobiography on him, so I don't know. But he is a businessman, as I've said. He's a businessman, whether he's straight or bent.
Yeah.
He is a
Well,
businessman. He knows what it is to make money. He knows what it is to some extent to hedge his bets.
Yeah.
And if he's made a decision, hold on a bit, so if he's made a decision to bring in tariffs, there is a reason. There has to be a reason somewhere along the line. Now he's doing it very roughly. He's uncouth in that sense. Yes. He's ruffling feathers. He's not doing a softly approach. He's doing it quite hard. So obviously people are retaliating. Obviously people will. Governments will. So we're seeing reaction across the globe. And it may even get turbulent.
Yeah.
But there is a reason why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah. George Smith said, Jump and his team are flying blind and was never an astute businessman.
I will hold on. I will take that. I have nothing, whatever our listeners are saying, I don't have anything to say against what they're saying. I will accept what they say. Yes. I will, because I don't know the man to say that he's doing it because of. But there must be something that he is seeing or he is aware of that obviously we are not.
Yes.
And he's responding to that.
All right, let's listen to this. Listen to this.
Will the day America's destiny was reclaimed and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. Going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen. We have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen.
Okay. You heard that bit? Sorry. Garry, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. At this time, but it seemed like he's adamant on this sort of reset. Yeah. This sort of resetting of America, this sort of resetting of the stage, and he's sort of wanting to look at how he can actually what should I say, make America rich again, make America great again, make America cars and everything, wanting to buy a lot of American things, because he said some of these companies or countries were having like 2.5% tariff, and they were actually putting 10% tariff on him. So he's sort of looking at the world picture at the same time. But it is,
I
but
mean,
it seemed to be, but it seemed to be hurting a lot of allies. A lot of people were. Canada is upset. A lot of countries are upset by it at the same time. But as what the Prime Minister said of the UK, he's doing what is in the best interest of the United States of America. I, the British Prime Minister, will do what is in the best interest of the British people. Can you blame him for that? Can you guys blame him for that? Can you blame him for that?
no, well, again, as I said, I mean, um, your one of your listeners, some guy in Toronto, I mean, he's saying some good stuff. He's writing some good stuff there. But then again, you have to remember that okay, he may be doing it for him. I mean, Trump may be doing it for himself and for his cronies, but there's some other people also who are not with Trump. They never voted for him. They're in business. They also are going to benefit if at all what you're saying is true, and it could be very true. I don't have any data to say that it's not. You may be sitting on that, and that's fine. That's okay. We have to understand that not only will Donald Trump and his cronies or his friends and those who are working with him and in government with him will be millionaires and billionaires probably 2 or 3 times over. But it will be those also who never voted for him and who are in business. So they will benefit from all of the action that he's doing. I'm sure they're going to benefit. Now, you made a statement which is true. He was bankrupt, or he declared himself bankruptcy 4 times. There have been many more people, I'm quite certain, and one of them who we all know, and we've spoken about him and his business acumen, which is Branson. Is Branson, isn't it? The one who owned Virgin. He was bankrupt how many times? And probably not as many more times as Trump, but he was very successful too. Some of our millionaires in our world, many of them, for whatever reason, I don't know, but they've had to declare themselves bankrupt probably 2 or 3 times. Could have been more, but yet they've been successful, and they have also contributed to society, and they've paid their dues by way of helping others around to also be successful. So I think to use the argument to some extent that Trump, yes, he's unscrupulous. Yes, he's done things. He has said things. He has acted. He has been taken to the courts. He has been impeached. Everything has happened to him.
He's been drawn, hung, and quartered, as they would say in a
Yes,
literal, in a
yes,
figurative sense.
yes,
Yeah.
and that is something that the whole world sees. So I don't know if I wouldn't want to get on the bandwagon and talk him down. He's already down. People don't like him,
Yeah.
and it would seem that people are against him, which they are. But
Yeah.
at the same time, he again may be seeing some things that we are not seeing. We are
Yes.
not privy, and
Is it?
he's doing something about it. I would want to
Yeah.
see it that way. I never
Let's
voted for him
yeah.
because I'm not an American citizen,
Let's hear.
and I'm not talking him
Yeah.
up. But I believe that I don't know. I don't know.
Let's let,
Go ahead.
let's hear what let's hear a good review of the Trump tariffs.
Not hearing anything, so
You're not hearing anything. Okay.
no.
Okay. All right. Let's. Okay, Gary. I don't think you're hearing anything. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I haven't heard anything now.
Yeah, I don't think you're hearing anything there. That is not coming through for some reason there. But anyway, the whole thing regarding this whole tariff thing is a very interesting thing, very interesting. And of course, we're gonna watch this space to see how it unfolds in the next months or so. As Cory Booker was saying, 71 days of this. And I can see the House and the Senate, because some of the arguments is that the government is broken up into three strands. It's got the judiciary, the House, and the the president. And it seemed like he's operating independently of all these different persons and all these different strands. And I was listening to Cory Booker. I'm not a fan of Cory Booker, but and it's very interesting about the fact that the Democrats are now waking up because their focus was so warped before. Now they're waking up and asking all these serious questions, but they were completely warped before. Now I would listen to Cory Booker, and I'm going to play just an excerpt of Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker. If I can get this thing to work. Hungary draws from that. Cory Booker. Yes, Senator Cory Booker. Let me know if you can hear. If anybody can hear this.
And they should not be treated as such. I can't allow this body to continue without doing something different.
Can I just ask? Can you hear me? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Can you hear it, Garry? Can anyone hear it? You can hear it.
Different, speaking out. The threats to American people and American democracy are grave and urgent, and we all must do more. We all must do more, because I believe generations from now will look back at this moment and have a single question. Where were you when our country was in crisis and when American people were asking for help? Help me. We have a president who's come in, and one of the first things he's done in 71 days is insinuate fear and insecurity about Social Security by threatening it. This president is invoking emergency powers like the Alien Insurrection Act. What the president has done is left our allies feeling abandoned, feeling degraded and insulted. He's left our adversaries feeling emboldened. What does his Liberation Day mean to the people that are shackled to debt? What does his liberation mean to people who are literally in jails right now because they were disappeared from our streets? What does his liberation mean to people?
Okay, that's the House and the Senate. People are coming out and saying different things now about what is happening in America. But the president, as we all say, the president has now got a mandate, and he's got a mandate to deliver on the promises and the things that he said he's going to do. Can you blame him? I keep asking all the while, or is it how he's doing? Because right now I understand that Elon Musk is going to be leaving soon. I always say eventually that's what's going to break down. I wouldn't say it's broken down. I would say the time has gone, because Elon Musk is operating without a person who has gone through the vetting process, as various secretaries of state, different persons, Tulsi, Kash Patel, all of them went through a period of vetting. Elon Musk never had that. So eventually, I believe Elon Musk would have to go, because I've got people messaging me from the States who don't normally talk politics and asking me the question, what's your thought of Elon Musk? They feel uneasy about it. Even Candice Owen is talking about Elon Musk and say, what is he about? What is his agenda? And sometimes when you think about it with Elon Musk, a person like him cannot feel. Well, I don't know what was his earlier growing up as to when he actually came into the wealth or what, but can such a person feel what a lot of people are actually feeling and the way he's going about it? So there's going to be a little change, and I believe Trump has actually picked up on that and dealing with it. but it is very evident and it is very clear that a lot of people are unhappy. But at the same time, when Biden was in power, a lot of people were also unhappy. I mean, Gary, you know, people were unhappy. Hi, Michelle, how are you? When Biden was in power, a lot of people were unhappy. Now Trump is in power, a lot of people are unhappy. But it's like it's creating a sort of resetting the stage. You know, I don't know, Michelle. What do you say? What do Gary? It is a very interesting day, and it's a very interesting time as to what is happening, and even also with the Canadian Prime Minister is coming out saying he's going to go by force. I don't know what force is he talking about. He's going to go by force and go out after Trump.
No, well, I mean, I've been reading what some guy in Toronto, I don't know what his name is. Be interested to know what the name is, but I've been reading what he's putting up. I'm proud of the guy. I'm very proud of the prime minister of Canada.
Okay, you mean Carney, former banker? Yeah.
He is saying and he's doing the work of government. That's what he's doing, and he's making a very good presentation. I mean,
yes.
I don't know how well the previous one would have done. He probably wouldn't have done as well or presented as well. But I think the present prime minister has really come up and stood up, and he knows, obviously. Yeah. He knows he's not a politician. He said he's not a politician, but he knows business himself.
Yes.
He knows business himself. So whatever Trump is doing, the Canadian Prime Minister, he's not sitting down and sitting back and allowing Trump to say what he says, and he not have anything to say. He has something to say, and he's saying it, and he's doing it quite well. And I'm proud of that. Now, I think I'm not so proud of our Prime Minister, because I don't hear him, and probably, I don't hear him come out and say what he needs to say, like how Carney is saying it. I don't hear that.
Or is it because the hit has not really hit the UK as how it has hit Canada?
No, but you see, we're still getting the 25%. We've still on automobiles, we are still getting the 25%. Again, England still has 10% on whatever other products. But England is not, but the United Kingdom is not getting away from it. Now I saw something else. I didn't really take much notice. I should have. But I saw something where it said that the US runs the UK or runs England, which of course that doesn't shock me, because of the relationship that goes back 100, probably 200 years, probably longer than that. The relationship between the US and the UK.
Special relationship, yeah.
Yes, yeah, and whoever really was whoever is in power, whether it be Labor or Conservative, I don't know how they would. Well, I'm sure somebody else would have done it far better than Starmer. I don't think Starmer did a very good job.
Well, I'm not one. Starmer is the Prime Minister of the UK, but I have no much confidence in Starmer, to be honest. As a matter of fact, Starmer slightly remind me of Andrew Holness to a certain extent. These guys will not rock the boat to a certain extent. They're just going to play ball and play games. I can see Starmer is now saying UK draws up a list of US products it could hit with tariffs. It could.
Yeah,
I would listen to these words. It could hit with tariffs.
I mean, okay. I mean, look at what the Canadian Prime Minister did, and even is the President of Mexico is a woman, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or whoever is the head of state of Mexico. Look what they both did.
Yeah.
You know, they came out straight away and said what they. Now, how long did it take for Starmer to come out with that?
Well, all Starmer said is that America is doing what is in the best interest of America, and I'll do what is in the best interest of the UK.
Yeah,
but as far as I'm concerned, he's not doing what is the best interest of the UK.
But he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. He won't do anything. But at least the heads of state of Mexico, which is the south of US, and Canada, which is north of the United States, they came out straight away. They hit back. They knew that whether it's right or wrong, the point is that they came out straight. So Trump knew exactly where they're coming from. Starmer has not. He's taken how many days to come out and say that?
I don't think he has come out and say anything. And what it says here, right? It says right here, the UK government is drawing up a list of US products it could hit. It could hit with retaliatory tariffs after President Donald Trump announced a wave of new import taxes. It reminds me of an article I saw in a Jamaican paper whereby they said the government of Jamaica, through the Ministry of Tourism, is going to make 1,000 houses for hotel workers to they're going to break ground. And I said, they're planning to break ground. So I said, okay, you're planning to break ground. Of course, in an election here, so they're going to say a lot of these different things. But I always look at these operating words. It could hit. We are going to break grounds. Not happen. It could hit retaliatory tariffs after sorry, Garry.
It could hit, and it could hit. And it could break wind. I mean,
yes. Yeah. This is talking tough. This is the tough enough the government stance as ministers seek to finalize a trade deal with the US. Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds says he's consulting UK firms about the likely impact of the 10% tariffs. That's all I was saying, Garry. 10% tariffs imposed on nearly all UK exports to the US and which products should be on the list. If UK negotiators cannot agree a deal to reduce the 10% tariff by 1st of May, the business secretary told MPs the government could impose retaliatory tariffs on US import. I think Donald Trump is just sitting there laughing and just gone to bed sleeping and just laughing at this time. I think that's what's happening, Garry, to be honest with you. Because as far as I'm concerned, these world leaders have no balls. They have no balls. You understand? And that is what is happening. They have no balls. They need a Mia Motley or somebody like that, or persons to come. Yeah.
As I was sitting here and while you were talking, I was thinking who, and I don't know if there's anybody out there from the UK or even if some guy in Toronto. I don't know if he knows much about UK politics or fame with the politicians here, but who do they think of the past premiers of the United Kingdom would they have loved to have been in this position that Keir Starmer is in, that would have been able to handle Trump? And I think, and for me, the only individual I can see in the past recent years, and I'm going back, and when I say recent years, I have to go back as far back as let us say beginning with Maggie Thatcher all the way through to now. I think that for me, I think Maggie wouldn't have sat down and taken this at all.
Take it rolling over like that.
No, she would have something to say, and I think that is the problem that we have today. The leaders of today, they're running scared of Trump. Yes. Now, whatever Trump knows, or whatever Trump may know or may not know, if he's in there for himself, that's fine. If that's what everybody here is saying, that is fine. But what I'm saying here, he's seen something that he's not telling anybody, and he's doing what he's doing. If he says for MAGA, make America great again, right? And so he should be brought to account by the leaders and the heads of state of the various countries in this world. They should. They
I
should
think
put pressure on
I
him to
yeah.
say, what is it? What are you really doing? What do you want? Well, probably he is doing that, but they're not
Yeah.
listening.
I think
Because
I
he,
know. Yeah,
because,
go on.
sorry,
Talk. Sorry, my
because,
apologies. Yeah,
because he is, listen, what Europe is doing now is not that Europe has said that that's what they're going to do, you know. He has told Europe what they must do. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Now, should that have happened? No. Because if they had in their mind at all that they were wanting to do what they're doing now, they wouldn't, they would be better prepared. The countries in Europe, in relation even to Ukraine and to Russia, they would have been better prepared to face the situation today. The reason why they are backpedaling now to some extent is because Trump has come and he says, America is not involved in this. We're coming out. And that is what Europe did not want to hear. And so because they didn't want to hear that, and they've heard it, and they're not happy with it, they're now having to fill the gap. That is why our premier and our chancellor of the exchequer is now raising taxes, right? So that the British Army can be rearmed. I read something just this week that Putin is laughing at the puny little army that the United Kingdom has, and rightly so, because the governments and the successive governments of the UK have just cut the funding to the military.
I think one person who could actually have spoken to Trump and sought him out and grab him by his ears and pull him in, you know, that would be? Who do you think that lady would be? Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth, I believe, could have sought out Trump. But I think Queen Elizabeth is the only person, you know. But you know, I think with Trump, I believe is that he has nothing to lose at this time. You know, he has been down there and he has nothing to lose, and he's just going for it and following through with the promises which he has done. His inauguration speech set the stage. What he has been talking about on the platforms all over the country, all over the states, that's what he's doing. And I guess he's got this base because apparently this base is not making noise about it. All you're hearing making noise is actually the Democrats, and they're actually waking up. It's unfortunate they're just waking up now when all of their focus was on something else, you know, trying to change up men and women and all those sort of things. And you know, all these different, all of that was what they were all focusing on. While you know, and the funny thing about this is somebody said it the other day. How can Trump come in and just creating so much shift with all these executive orders, this power that he has as a president? That means to say Biden, Obama, and all these guys could have done so much at the time. For 71 days, he has come in and created all this different shift. That shows you there's a power. Although I always qualified by saying this, the president is still subject to the presidency. The president is still subject to the presidency. George Smith said, "It is not what we're saying about Trump, is what he has demonstrated throughout all his life of doing business and his business transaction. We never bored, you know." So yeah. But anyway, we're gonna watch that. Thank you so much for the on in Instagram, TikTok. Garry, there was something I was looking at, and I need to touch on Jamaica there, but I want to go on to Kemi because I think they're saying, or some sounds are saying, they're giving her until May to change for the whole dynamism of the conservative to shift. That is what what different punters are actually saying. I don't know what's your take on that before I play that on Kemi. They say they're giving her until May to change the fortunes because right now to change the fortunes of the Conservatives, to change the fortunes, because reform is actually stepping up. I mean, the May 1st election, I think reform has 1,000 and XY amount of councillors all over the place, ready to go for it, and they're not backing down, no matter what.
Yeah, but I mean, what can we do now? Kemi can't do anything now. I mean, she's doing the best that she can. Kemi is doing the best that she can now. What else? What else do they want Kemi to do? I mean, they want her to do the black flip, the back flip, and somersaults. I don't think so.
Well, hold on. Let's listen to a few interactions here, a few reactions here with Stam at the House.
Mr. Speaker, the triple lock was a Conservative policy. Yeah. Rather than... Yes.
I need to just ask, can you hear clearly, ladies and gentlemen? Can you hear Garry? Is it very clear?
Yes, I can hear.
Can you can hear? Fantastic.
Yes, I can hear.
Hold on. I know. You was inadvertently said, carry on, Lee.
Rather than the Prime Minister congratulating himself for what we did, why don't we talk about what he's doing? Yes. From Sunday, Labour's jobs tax will mean many British businesses face a terrible choice: to cut wages, put up prices, or sack their staff. Yeah. What is the Prime Minister's advice to those businesses?
Mr. Speaker, she says the triple lock was Conservative policy. It was once thought to be the party of sound finances, but they blew all of that. Mr. Speaker, she asked what we're doing. We're clearing up the mess that they left. We're dealing with global instability, and we recognise the pressures that are bearing down on businesses and individuals and working people. That's why we're rolling up our sleeves. And yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I was pleased to announce the national living wage increasing by £1,400. That's a pay rise for millions of workers. We've announced £150 for the warm homes discount, extended now to 6 million households. That's 1 in 5 families. And wages are going up faster than prices. And never forget, the party opposite, worst living standards on record, inflation up to 11%, public services left on their knees.
Garry, I need you to look behind the Prime Minister. And I needed to look at one of the ladies behind the Prime Minister and tell me what your thoughts are as she is listening. Yeah? You hear me? Yeah? Just watch. Look at the two ladies. Now, look behind the Prime Minister when he's speaking and look at one of the ladies and what's your thoughts on her? For me, I think she's bored. Anyway, watch your space.
You should play
Mr.
that.
Speaker, the only mess is the one that he made with his budget. They had an emergency budget last week that fixed nothing.
Sorry, Garry, did you say something?
Yeah, I just said to play that part again. Play that clip again of him speaking, and then continue.
No. It is after. No, it's after. It continues. It continues.
Hold on. I know. You was inadvertently said, carry on, Lee.
Rather than the Prime Minister congratulating himself for what we did, why don't we talk about what he's doing? Yes. From Sunday, Labour's jobs tax will mean many British businesses face a terrible choice: to cut wages, put up prices, or sack their staff. Yeah. What is the Prime Minister's advice to those businesses?
Mr. Speaker, she says the triple lock was Conservative policy. It was once thought to be the party of sound finances, but they blew all of that. Mr. Speaker, she asked what we're doing. We're clearing up the mess that they left. We're dealing with global instability, and we recognise the pressures that are bearing down on businesses and individuals and working people. That's why we're rolling up our sleeves. And yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I was pleased to announce the national living wage increasing by £1,400. That's a pay rise is for millions of workers. We've announced £150 for the Warm Homes discount, extended now to 6 million households. That's 1 in 5 families. And wages are going up faster than prices. And never forget, the party opposite, worst living standards on record, inflation up to 11%, public services left on their knees.
Give me a bit, Lol.
Mr. Speaker, the only mess is the one that he made with his budget. They had an emergency budget last week that fixed nothing. He says he's bringing stability. All we see is fragility. During the election, the Prime Minister also promised that he would not increase taxes on working people. But even the OBR says that the jobs tax will be passed on to workers. On average, families will be £3,500 poorer. Why should anyone trust him again?
Prime Minister.
Well, her fantasy figure is about as much use as Liz Truss's economic planning. And she turns up every week to carp from the sidelines about the decisions we made at the budget. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, she held a press conference and she couldn't say whether she would reverse the decisions that we made at the budget. Now, I understand because she can't bring herself to say because she doesn't want the investment of an extra £26 billion in our NHS. I'm not surprised at that. That's 2 million extra appointments. That's 1,000 more GPs, a pay rise for nurses, etc., etc. But let me get her position right if I can follow it. She wants the extra £26 billion in the NHS, Mr. Speaker, that was paid for by the national insurance rise. She wants that. She doesn't want to reverse the national insurance rises.
I'm sorry, I just need to, Garry, I just want you to look at Angela Rayner. Can you look at her face? She's just bored. I was watching it the other day on Wednesday. Michelle, is that the lady? Michelle said they told her to sit there and just nod her head. Michelle, is that the lady you're speaking about? Are you talking?
The both of them, both Rayner and Reeves. I mean, they just sit down there like the Churchill dog. Just sit down there, just nod them and so.
Yeah, that's correct, Michelle. That's correct, Michelle. The lady in the white blazer. She's the deputy prime minister, isn't she?
Yeah, she's
she's the deputy prime minister.
You see, they cannot show they cannot show any kind of emotion, can they? Even if they disagree, they have to show as if they agree. But how can they agree with something that I don't think they're agreeing with anyway?
Well,
the whole principle sit down there so bland.
Yeah, it's the whole principle of collective responsibility. You know, if they disagree on things, policy issues, they have to either leave the cabinet based on the collective responsibility thing. But one thing I don't know. I've been looking at Angela Rayner. I think she's a lovely lady. You know, but I just look at her. I think she's just bored, and I think a lot of Labour MPs are having a slight disquiet over the way how Starmer is operating in dealing with the fuel tax on the elderlies, the way how he has changed up a lot of things, the way the budget. I mean, the budget is not just Reeves. Reeves not the only person that does the budget. It has to be approved by the Prime Minister, for Pete's sake.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So therefore, a lot of people are unhappy. Even Clive. Is it Clive, whatever? Clive something there. He's also unhappy about the way how things are. Because when you look at it in a certain way, you've just been in power for less than a year. And you came in like with all these ideological things and you want to just change. And it's like giving the people a hard time when you keep saying 14 years of the Conservative, 22 billion black hole, 14 years. And I'm saying, for Pete's sake, then give the people a break. Let them just chill for a while. You don't have to break it. You know? So you know, that's just my view. That's my point there in regards to Kemi. Unless you want to say anything more, in regards to Kemi, personally speaking, I believe she's doing fantastic. She's doing great, and she just have to. Anyone who was find themselves in that position would have to take the battering, no matter what, because they come out of 14 years, and she's the one trying to revive the fortunes of the Conservative Party. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah. 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 So that's it. But I just want to finish off in something here. You know, in Jamaica, they're talking about the election is due in September. Yeah. The general election is due in September. But then something just came out about the constitutional time frame for general election by Malahoo Fort. Malahoo Fort is the constitutional affairs minister, and I think it is creating a sort of unnecessary. Well, I would say let's call the word. It call it a sort of stink in Jamaica. A lot of people are actually looking forward to this election, but according to what she's actually saying, it's like there's room for it to be extended, Gary. You know, there's room for it to be extended. General election, what you say? Not constitutionally due, and not constitutionally due. I just say by September. Let's see if I can play this bit here. If it plays. If it plays.
All you need is Zoho Marketing Plus.
Marketing teams now manage emails, social media.
On that point, I hear it often said that the elections are due by September. That is not constitutionally correct.
You hear that?
What the Constitution provides for is an outer life for the date of Parliament, and that is 5 years, and the life of the Parliament commences on the first sitting of the Parliament after general elections,
Yeah.
not when the general elections are held, because we know that the electoral laws require formalities to be complied with about counting,
Mm.
and sometimes space has to be given for recounts, judicial recounts.
So what she's actually saying there is that it is not can you hear me, Gary? Can you
Yes, I can.
hear me? Let me see if you can hear me. Yes, you can hear me. Yeah, what she's actually saying is that the it is not constitutionally correct regarding the election, because what it is, it's upon the first sitting of the new parliament or so. And I don't think it's going to be long beyond September. And that is why I'm so very keen on this discussion which I'm having about civics. My next topic on civics is going to be civics and what is civics, and I'm going to have Matunda Makula, the former acting public defender in Jamaica, who is going to be my lecturer. Civics and citizenship. That's what the topic is going to be this Saturday. Civics and citizenship. Masterclass on civics. Guest lecturer Matunda Makula, former acting public defender. Because I one of the things that I like to do is when I see these things or hear these things, I know Malahoo Fort very well, good virgin, is to understand, and I'm going to actually look in the Constitution myself to see what she's actually saying. Because she said what the Constitution provides for is an outer life for the date of Parliament. That is 5 years. And the life of the Parliament commences on the first sitting of the Parliament after a general election, not when the general election are held. Because we know that the electoral laws require formalities to be complied with about counting. And she said that space has to be given for judicial recounts after general elections. She said it was important for Jamaicans to understand that the life of the Parliament is not fixed, as the country does not have a fixed date elections. And that is where it's so important that when the Constitution is reformed, there should be this whole thing about fixed date election, the whole bit about impeachment, the whole bit about recall, and the same thing that we have been talking about, Garry, So the person on TikTok is saying there shouldn't be no argument. It's not about argument, it's about discussion. It's about having intellectual discourse. It's not about JLP or PNP, brethren. This is about understanding and having discussion. No, I just like to say this to people sometimes because they feel like just because you are a GLP leaning person, you mustn't say nothing. I can't talk. You must can have a conversation, Omalo, and speak and have discussion. And if people want to argue and debate, they can. We're in a freedom of speech is so important. I'm so tired of it, Gary. Sometimes, I put something out and then some JLP person or whatever will come out and say, "Shut up." And I'm saying, I will always respond and say, "How rude you are. How rude." And I don't block them enough because I want them to be there. But people need to understand that people must, I don't know. Anyway, I must confess though that I do personally want a change of government. And I put it out on record there. I believe that after every 2 years, there should be a change of government in Jamaica. That's my personal view. Because after 2 years, I'm going into a third year, a third term, there's a level of arrogance, a level of nepotism, a level of think you're the done can come, and absolute power corrupts. And power corrupts absolutely. So I'm saying that to you there. Okay, Mr. Amalo. I'm trying to say. I just believe. Yeah, go on, Garry. Yeah.
I think that seems to be the problem across the board in any country, any political party that seems to be in government for one term is not too bad.
Yes.
When they then begin to go for 2 terms and then 3 terms,
yes,
some nefarious then begins to happen and take over, where the person who's in power doesn't want to let it go. They just don't want to relinquish that power. And then you see, you find where even certain sections of the family, a daughter or a son or a brother or a sister, comes into the frame and seems to want to carry on with the regime, and it's not right. And I think, I mean, it's sad. I mean, in Jamaica, if we be honest, if we be really and truthfully honest, in Jamaica for many, many years, and from when I was going to school, this kind of thing was going on anyway.
Yes.
I mean, even though it wasn't probably as blatant as it is now, but it was going on in Jamaica. I mean, if we be honest, it was going on. It's been going on in the States. It's been going on here in the UK. It's only that it would seem that the black man don't know how to hide it like the white man.
One of the things which is talking about a lot now, because on the 31st of March was the date whereby people had to get registered to be on the electoral list. And hi Janet, good evening. And the line was very long. A lot of people wanted to be get themselves registered, getting themselves ready for an election. I believe this election is going to be a good turnout. I believe it's going to be up to maybe 60% turnout, if anything like that. If it remains within the 30-40, I believe. I was listening to Mark Golding, and he said all he needs to do is call election, and then he will play. He will sound a trumpet. All it is the trumpet. And I believe that people are really looking forward to a change. And I believe change is good because it brings forth freshness. And I believe that what changes will do in Jamaica at this time is something similar to what Trump is doing. And that is investigating the previous. But it got to be with a way whereby there's a level of independence, not like with a what should I say, not like an Elon Musk style, but bringing in some sort of structure whereby one can investigate the spending and how things have been with previous administration. And one of the things that I said, and I like to see, and I put a video out there recently. The video is on YouTube, Sylbourne TV, is that there should be a time after the next election whereby all the different parties, the civil groups, the churches come together and have a drawn up policy for education, drawn up policy for health, a drawn up policy for dealing with crime, a drawn up policy for all these different aspects of in Jamaica. So therefore, and it goes beyond 10 years. Go beyond 10 years, because if you go for 5 years, you're trying to fight for election or try to win a next seat, but it goes beyond. And then when it goes beyond, then the nation and people can run with it. And therefore, it moves away from a JLP and a PNP thing, but it's like you're bringing the people with you at the same time. A bit like Vision 2030, which they have in Jamaica. And somebody mentioned about Singapore. You cannot compare Jamaica with Singapore, Virgin. Singapore is far ahead of Jamaica. Jamaica missed the boat long time. Everybody like to say Singapore. We missed the boat. Try, Mr. Jamaicans, try not to compare Jamaica with Singapore. Please don't. You have no local standard for that. Did you watch Mr. Jeffrey Tavares with two Dominican gentlemen talking about the corruption government in their country? No, I didn't see it, but I'm not surprised when it comes on to corruption.
I mean, there is corruption in every
There's
government.
corruption everywhere. Corruption is everywhere.
Every government. And it's sad. It's sad that it's gotten to that. But what needs to be done is that the constituents or the voters of these countries, of these these islands, the islands of the Caribbean and other countries, we need to bring them to book. If they're doing something wrong, vote them out.
Yes.
Just do that. Vote them out. Don't keep putting in these people that take from and get rich and get powerful. Because the thing about it, when they get so powerful, it's the people that gives these politicians power, And then when they get powerful, we the citizens then complain that them too powerful and them too rich. But we put them in there. So what we've got to do is that whether in the UK, whether it's in the American, in the US, whether it's a country, even if it could be, if it's in Singapore, if it's in Europe, what we need to do when the time comes to evict the individual out of the state house, out of the government house, vote them out. That's what you're there to do. Don't put them back in.
Yes. I totally agree with, and I believe that one of the things also governments should look at is, say for instance, there's policies whereby it's a joint up thing whereby there's a joint up policy when it comes on to education, joint up policy when it comes on to crime, dealing with it. Then if it is not the deliverable is not done, then that is the basis where you vote someone out, and you operate on policies. Dealing with policies is something which is pushed aside, because one of the things that I see a lot and I hear a lot, and that's why I put out the video talking about this whole aspect of civic responsibility of individuals, people asking questions of their members of parliament when they come to them and they want to ask them to say, will you vote for me? They say, hey, will you vote for me? And then the question I always say to people is, ask them this question: have you signed up to the 7 Nolan principles, the 7 integrity code of conduct? Selflessness, transparency, accountability, honesty, selflessness, leadership. Have you? And then to ask people again, if persons are putting themselves forward in Jamaica for argument's sake, or anywhere in the UK, that would be definitely, are you being investigated for corruption? And the word is illicit enrichment. That's a nice word they use, illicit enrichment. But illicit enrichment is actually corruption. Ask them this question when they come and knock on your door. Because when I stood for office in the UK, and Garry, what we have to go, we go to doors and knock on the doors and telling people to vote for us. And then we're at their mercy, because they're actually the boss. The people are actually the boss. And therefore, and that is a wake-up call that I would like to do when I'm dealing with the whole aspect with civics, is to empower people to recognize that you're actually the boss. You are the one who actually vote. You're the one who employ persons to be leaders, and eventually a prime minister. And during the course of that 5 year, you don't just sit back. There are aspects of things you can do. You can lobby. You can write letter. can have surgeries and go to these persons, because what you're trying to do is to empower the nation, empower people. And that is why civic discussion is so important. And that is why I sort of move away from the whole JLP, PNP thing. And don't, because as a matter of fact, my view is this: while I believe and I hope only for 2 terms for successive persons, leaders, it is still up to the people to decide that. And whatever the people decide, that's it. You remember in the UK when we had the coalition government with Dick and Dumb, David Cameron and Nick Clegg. The big question was, what were the people saying? And what the people were saying in the UK was that we do not trust one party to run things. We have not confidence. So they look at the bigger picture, and they sent a message, and they had a joint coalition. And likewise, that is what I like to see in Jamaica, where a lot of people come out to vote, and they make their voices clear and very known, that if it is for the Prime Minister Andrew Holness to be returned, so let it be. And if it is for Mark Golding to come in and to become the new Prime Minister, so let it be. But I personally believe that if one is being investigated for illicit enrichment and corruption, you shouldn't really be putting yourself forward to be running for an office. That's just my personal. If it was in the UK, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, Gary. You know that the press would hound them. This is what the leader would say. The leader would keep saying, "I have good confidence in my minister. I've got good confidence in my minister." And within 2 days after, we all make a bet: is he gonna go this weekend or Monday? And by Monday morning or Sunday, he comes out and says he's got to spend time with his family.
Yeah, good excuse. Very good. He has to find an excuse to go, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. But anyway, Gary, good discussion. Janet Monday, gentlemen, them say the Dominican Prime Minister in power for 20 years and don't want to let go. These guys hold on to power big time, you know. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
I mean, listen. I mean, it's like what Trump is saying, or what they're saying that Trump has said. That I'm sure I heard him too. That he'd want to run for a 3rd term.
You want to go for a 3rd term?
And he wouldn't mind running against Obama.
Yeah.
But that's always the problem, though. These men, these individuals, get into power, and they don't want to let it go. Yes.
Yeah, because I think the intimation or the thinking, what I think is it, Obama want to come back. I don't know if it's an April Fool's Day thing. Obama want to come back. Trump want to go on for another 3rd term or so. But I just think that, you know, it's Trump days over. It's what the people want, and so like that, you know. So yeah. But anyway, Gary, listen, have a great weekend. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining this Saturday night at 10 p.m. I'll be having Mr. Matundu McCullough, and we're going to be talking about civics and citizenship. And sometime down in the future, I'm going to be having Sir Lord Simon Woolley from the UK here. He's going to be coming on and talk about that when we did the Operation Black Vote. When I did that many years ago, I think it was from 2007, and I shadowed the former Attorney General Dominic Grieve in the UK, and I also shadowed the father of the house, Peter Bottomley as well. And so different persons were able to shadow different members of Parliament. So Simon Woolley is going to be coming on and to talk about that thing there. Yeah. Civic responsibility and so like that. Yeah. All right. Sylbourne said that TV show. True words. Andrew Holness being investigated for illicit enrichment. should make him unfit to face the election. That's my view. And this is the thing. This is the thing. Somebody just said it here. Andrew Holness being investigated for illicit enrichment should make him unfit to face elections. Shouldn't.
But I know you want to finish up, but in reference to that, I mean, look what they've done to that politician in France. She can't run for the next 5 years.
Exactly. So Le Pen. Yeah. But she was convicted. She was. But that should have happened to Trump, innit?
It should have happened to Trump. But the thing about it, what somebody noted on Le Pen's thing was that what they got her on shouldn't have even been it shouldn't even have been on the books. I mean, well, there was nothing wrong. They wanted to find something so that Steve would not run. So it's more or less like they embellished, or they've kind of embellished what she's done in order to keep her out.
Yes.
So you see politics across the board in whatever country, wherever, whether it's in the West, the East, the North, or the South, is just dirty.
Yes.
Politics is just dirty. And when one should be barred or when one should be taken out, they're the ones that are kept in, and the ones that should at least have a chance to go in because they are a threat. And put that in parenthesis, quote unquote, they are a threat. Now, I'm not even saying that Le Pen is the best candidate or she is the right woman for the job. No, I'm just saying that if certain individuals within the societies in which they're a part of seems to threaten the power structure or the power base of that society, they are removed, and whoever they favor, whatever the powers be, they're kept in. And that's why politics is a dirty game.
Well, also, I believe when she was getting close to win some recent elections, the other sides all ganged up together. Well, they came together and voted her and sort of went against her as well, But that's politics. It's the people. It's what the people want, and so like that. And we got to give it to the people, educate the people, empower the people, and let not the people keep the buy vote and all them things. Somebody will talk about buying votes, and they say buying vote has been happening in Jamaica for a long time, but nobody has any evidence to prove it. But everybody knows it goes so. You know what I'm saying? We all know it happened. Prove it now. We all know it happened. Everybody knows it happened. They can't prove it and they can't evidence it. And that's why when they say with corruption, especially with ministers and government, there's always this thing about evidencing it, finding receipts and proving it. And that is something which has never seemed to happen. And it is so important that there be investigations, and prime ministers, leaders, persons who have touched the pockets of the taxpayers, they should go to jail. Definitely they should be guilty. And so like that needs to happen very soon, so the people can have some sort of confidence. And I believe if that happens, you'll have more people coming out to vote, more than 37%, because they believe that's something in that, But they need a good structure of leadership as well, Garry, listen, have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Have a smashing night. Thank you for coming on, Michelle Milverton. Oh, Milverton, how are you? George Smith, Andrew's trying to do a Trump. Andrew's trying to do a Trump. Sir George Smith, Janet Monday. I'm gonna check Mr. What do you call it? Janet, I'm gonna go on Mr. What do you call it? Mr. Jeffrey Tavers. And when was that show there? And to look at it as well. There's some very interesting podcasts or bloggers in Jamaica, Andre Stevens and all these different guys them there, very, very, very colorful characters. And I'm glad for this whole aspect whereby you got a lot of persons able to find their voices, because what I realized, Garry, is that the the mainstream they more tend to be keyboard, as there's a keyboard you mode them. They're not that very outspoken. They don't come out and they don't want to rock the boat, because I remember something whereby I think the opposition leader was somewhere in the States or somewhere overseas, and he said something like the press is being bought out, or the press is being controlled by one side or so. And then the next minute you saw there was a massive fete that the present government actually feted the press and giving them a nice night out, enough jerk pork and enough food. Anyway, peace out, Garry.
Bless you.
Bless you. All the best. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining tonight. And as I said, this Saturday night, and I keep pressing this one, this Saturday night, I'll be with Mr. Matunda McCullough. He's going to be the guest lecturer talking about civics and citizenship. Civics and citizenship. It is so important at this time so one can understand. And so therefore, those who are in, carry books as well, come to the lecture, understand about citizenship and so like that. And one of the things also is, I just want to say this bit here, and especially at this time during an election, I think it is so very important that what is being seen now is the manifesto for the different political parties. So the manifesto for the different political parties need to be out there now, or their vision for 5 years. And the present government, they should be talking about their 9 years of achievement. And if it cannot be seen properly, they should have it in point form, setting out what is their 9 years of achievement, and set it out like that. And it makes no sense to talk about years of the previous government when you have been in for 9 years. I think, the Conservative Party in the UK, I believe, can still get a rat from the Labour Party for saying 14 years of the Conservative, 14 years of and 22 billion black hole. So how long will they be able to do it for? That's a big question. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. God bless you. Peace out. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you on Saturday night. Bye-bye. Well, Garry, it's not working. That bit's not work. So none of them not working tonight. Anyway, peace out, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.